There's some games I end up talking about because I love what they are, but then there are games I end up talking about because I love what they're trying to do. And for me, Sunderfolk really falls into that category a lot more strongly. Because yeah, on the surface, it's a fantastic tactical RPG. You've got a team-based strategy, positioning abilities, character roles, the whole shebang. I love it. But the more I thought about this game, the more I've spent time with it, the more I felt like the most interesting thing about this game isn't just that it plays well, it's that it feels like it's built for a very specific kind of question or prompt. And it's, can you make this kind of game feel welcoming to people who normally would never touch it? Because tactical RPGs can be incredible. They can also be a lot of systems, a lot of menus, a lot of terminology, a lot of expectations. It's overwhelming more often than not. There's a whole the tutorial period can often just be so abrasive, and you when folks are always mentioned to the idea of like playing a ARPG or like the critical RPG, a CRPG, I think is what it was. It's always like, there's too many menus. It feels very MMORPG like, where there's just overlays and multiple characters. And for the people who really love that space, that complexity is part of that appeal. Like, people like love the mechanics, love the depth, love the immersiveness of all that. But someone on the outside trying to get in, it can feel like a wall, like I was saying. But that's where I think Sunderfolk does what it does so well, in that it doesn't look at that wall and says, well, get over it. It feels like it's saying to that wall, maybe there's another way. And that's the lens I wanted to talk about this game through. Not just is Sunderfolk good, not just is it fun with friends, or that if the combat works or doesn't, but more specifically, what if Sunderfolk's real strength is that it acts as a bridge to tactical RPGs, a bridge between tabletop inspiration and video game design, and a bridge between people who already know this genre and people who may have always kind of been curious but never felt like they were fully invited in. Because that's the energy I really get from it. And now we're sitting at the time of this recording. We're just past its 1-year anniversary, and it's had time to stay. I've seen it at PAX with live audiences. I've shared this game experience with friends, and I still need to play through much of the story. But I think that's why this game has stayed with me in such a way, is that where is it getting that energy, and where is it taking us? The most obvious example of this being a bridge, or acting like a bridge, is the phone control setup. I know it can sound like a gimmick at first when you say it out loud, but it's phone controls, okay? You play it with like the Jackbox party games, you're familiar with it. That's how you would optimally, like, you would sit there and you'd be like, okay, just have one game and everyone can log in with their phone. They already have a phone. There's no need for 5, 6 or new controllers or everything like that. It kind of changes that experience of how approachable it can be. Because the moment you tell someone, hey, you can use your phone to play, the entire vibe kind of shifts. It sounds less like sit down, learn the system, memorize the UI, here's the control, it's A, B, X, Y. It's more like, come on, hang out, take your phone, you just do the thing, it should make sense for the most part. And you're going to play something together. And that's like what it does so well, is it makes a huge difference in that shift of learn the system, learn these things, learn these controls, to just play. It gives the game kind of a real, like I said, Jackbox style entry point, where the act of joining already feels very familiar. You're not asking someone to cross this huge mechanical threshold because they're allowed to have, before they're ever allowed to have fun. You're saying, here's your phone, here's your role, let's just go. Let's get into the fun. And I think that's such a smart decision in the design, because it lowers the intimidation factor without flattering the experience itself. That's the distinction that really matters to me. Sunderfolk doesn't feel like it's trying to remove strategy. It feels like it's trying to remove the anxiety of entry. And I like to compare it to another game I love a lot, and that's Baldur's Gate 3. Not because Sunderfolk is trying to be Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think that's the point at all. I do think it sits in the conversation in the same kind of larger appeal. Fantasy adventure, tactical decision-making, collaborative role-playing energy. That feeling of a shared journey shaped by people playing it. The difference is that a game like Baldur's Gate can feel like that, being handed the keys to an entire genre all at once. For some players, that's amazing. For others, that's like the minute you know everything's being handed to you, you're like, nope, no, this is too much on my plate at once. Sunderfolk feels like the alternative, valuable option of like, What's a version of that experience that kind of like helps me just enter into this world and still have fun? It's not dumbed down. It's not a lesser version. It's a very welcoming version. And it's a version where teamwork still very much matters. Positioning matters. Planning matters. The presentation is saying you belong here too. And honestly, I think that role is more important than most people sometimes give credit for, because not every game needs to be the biggest expression of a genre. Sometimes the most valuable game is the one that helps someone realize that they like that genre in the first place. I recently had a personal experience with this game, and again, I play with two of my friends, and we've been able to make that experience so much our own. It's like we're just chilling on the couch. We each have our character that we like to vibe with, and we get to make different parts of the experience our own, much like what Baldur's Gate also has been doing. I think the reason this clicked for me more deeply was an interview I had last year at PAX West with their team. That conversation really helped me understand what they were aiming for, because what came through very clearly was that this wasn't just a team building, a tactical game with a clever hook and be like, hey, it's a gimmick or something. They were trying to bridge tabletop RPG inspirations and then take that into the video game space with a game that they wanted to make. And that context is also very, I think, important to put note to. Because once you understand that Sunderfolk starts to feel less like a novelty and more like a mindset or like a way to go about it. The phone isn't just kind of a controller. It's part of this broader idea of like, how can I recreate a feeling that is normally experienced in one way and now taken to another? You're talking through decisions. You're reacting together. You're building momentum. You're making strategy feel communal, much like you do in a tabletop gaming environment. You're like sitting at the table. You're all talking through it. The phone part of it and the screen part of it are like maybe an afterthought in this, but that overall experience is what it's intending to try to bridge. And you can feel that team isn't just interested in mechanic. They're interested in the kind of social experience you would get from it, much like I was saying. And I think that passion really comes through. Sunderfolk really feels like a world the team genuinely enjoys spending time with, and they've been building. They've put out some more DLC and expansions since their launch. There's a new character to be able to play with. There's some updates to quality of life to offer other options and abilities. And I think things like that further fuel and emphasize their emphasis of wanting to stay with this game. And that's why those updates also feel so meaningful to me, is how do we make this easier to gather around? Like, we want, again, there's right friction and wrong friction. And the types of barriers of entry and overwhelming and quality of life, those things are removing the wrong frictions and allowing for more space for the right frictions. You want us to have the players spend time with these games and figure out how to solve a puzzle, how to do a one-shot, how to go through this experience, how to level up their team appropriately to handle the harder difficulties. That's the right friction. The wrong frictions are, I don't have the right controls, I don't know how to play this game, I don't know. Those things are like, that's not the point. The point is to be here, and instead of distracted by over here. And the game supports that. You can online remote play with PC. There's mouse support that they've added. The one-shot sessions, just to be like, hey, we don't have time for a full campaign. Let's just get one game in. Kind of makes it a party environment. You can be like, hey, let's just try one session, see if you like it. It feels like a more mature. It's maturing its identity in a lot of ways. It's again taking other elements of board games and tabletop type stuff, but also the fantasy of these kinds of games is always like, yeah, you're going to get a group together every week. You're keeping the momentum going, keeping the campaign going, and then real life can show up. That's fine. Schedules get messy. People get tired. Adults are busy. Like, we all know it. But one-shots are an easy way to experience this game and then be able to be like, hey, we're done in one. We're good. It says that we still want to feel communal, but also understand the real life constraints of modern gaming and modern lives that everyone's got going on, 1,000 things going on in their lives at any time. And again, going back to the controller kind of concept, it's like expanding the ways we play these games in ways that just really get us to like spend time with the game in as easy a way as possible. And that doesn't feel like adding these features, I would say, also doesn't feel like it's losing its identity. It feels like it's opening the doorway even more, and I really commend them and appreciate them for that. Because the bigger reason I kind of wanted to talk about Sunderfolk now, like a year from its launch, is that it kind of represents something I wish more games understood. And it's that there's a lot of people who assume they don't like a certain genre that they've never really had a chance to have the right entry point for. And tactical RPGs are one of those genres. I love tactics games as a whole. Like, I've played so many different kinds. I always love seeing new entries in that space. A lot of people always hear strategy RPG and immediately imagine something dense, slow, complicated, cumbersome, not meant for them. And sometimes that assumption is not really on the genre itself. It's just their experience with it. And to see something come in here and say, I can give you the right invite, I can set you up. And Sunderfolk feels like a game that understands that accessibility is not the same thing as shallowness. It's about like, you can bring people in without lowering the bar. You're changing your approach to how you're bringing them in. And I think that welcomeness that it does, how do you join, how do you learn, how do you feel comfortable to stay, I think is really thoughtful on their part and with how they've approached the game like this. I hope others feel that way, as like with other game studios and other studios take ideas from this, like, okay, how can we approach a genre that maybe we've had abrasion towards, but we can just make people have better experiences or more inviting ways, just offering more new ways to engage with it. And I think that's why I think this all works. Like, you take all the ideas I've shared in this video and kind of put it comprehensively into one thing. What I think about Sunderfolk is I don't really think it's the game's trying to replace the giants of the genre. It's more so I see it as a game that's trying to make this kind of play feel legible, fun, social, and exciting to more people. And that's a worthwhile goal. And I think it hits that goal. Because honestly, like, Sunderfolk becomes a game that helps someone realize they actually do enjoy a genre, and that's a huge success to me. I've seen friends that, like, it's made it accessible to their whole family. Like, they can sit down and chill with their kids, and who normally wouldn't play a game like this, and be like, hey, this is a group game we can play, much like a board game. And I think that matters. That matters for the genre. That matters for the players. That matters for the kinds of conversations we talk about when we talk about accessibility and design and what it can actually look like. Not simplification for its own sake, not watering it down, but translation. That's the word I keep landing on. Sunderfolk feels like it's a translation layer. It's preserving the spirit of tactics. It's the collaborative fantasy play, but it's presents in a way that feels human, social, and less intimidating, honestly. I think that's really cool. So when I look at Sunderfolk, I don't just see a game that's fun, smart, with a smart hook. I see a game that's like asking a question that I want more developers to ask, is how do I invite more people into this game, whatever my game experience is, without losing the thing that makes you love it in the first place. And to me, that's where Sunderfolk generally becomes interesting, because maybe it's the greatest value is not being a complex RPG. Maybe its values that it's a way to make a game more enjoyable for everyone altogether. And that, I think, is just as important. So I'll keep playing Sunderfolk. I'm excited to finish the campaign. Like I said, I haven't finished it. I love all the different modes. I haven't tried the new character yet, but I just want to take a minute to finally like observe what it is and what it's doing. And if you haven't played it, I'd love to leave you with the question of, like, what's the best gateway into a genre that you've had or that you've seen, whether big or small, and how did that welcome you into that space? Like, what framing did it take for you to get into it? Because for me, that was Sunderfolk, and I think it's worth talking about this conversation. And I think it opens up these interesting ideas. But let me know what you think. Again, I appreciate you for sticking around with my videos, and I hope you enjoy the videos to come. I got several in the tank, but I wanted to share this one with you. If you've enjoyed Sunderfolk, or if you've been curious about it, let me know what you think, or if you're willing to try it, and I'll catch you on the next save point.